Killing it here also live.
So glad I arrived at 5:15.
And then talk to me. If you don't mind.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah, sure. What's going on, JS?
I sent you. And you should be in the.
Oh, great. And they renamed all their TVs.
Load big screen.
Not anymore.
Airplane's flying.
No.
You can't just plug in.
Apparently, AirPlay is not working. That's all.
Here's the AC minus. How do you change the
Sorry.
This will be a live stream that we edit. Not really worth.
No. Yeah, do it live. This is perfect. But that would that work?
Let's find out.
What if the projector is not for the size of the screen?
There we go. Yeah. Either they just have that stock image in their projector, or we're good to go. One of the two.
Hopefully not. Awesome. Welcome to DenverScrip. Yay, jazz hands. All right, just curious, who's the first timer? Nice. Well, welcome, everyone. So these things are not possible without our sponsors. So thank you, CoTalent, for sponsoring the venue and the beer.
Yes, thank you.
Same joke as always for the last 4.5 years. If you don't know CoTalent, it's the place you're in right now. But seriously, if you're in the job market or you need someone to fill your talent pool, definitely hit them up. They're great people to know. Go Spot Check is sponsoring the food. Yeah. That's right. Make me look good. I work for Go Spot Check. We make an app that makes it a lot easier for people to go onto different sites and do auditing for those sites for whatever the customer needs. Thank you, Go Spot Check. Woo. Also, thank you to wow, God, that was just that's all I heard. Yay. There we go. Also, thank you to our Open Collective contributors, Garrett Dawson, Connor Henley, and Ian Solomon. Thank you. Also, if you would like to also give us money, that would be great. That helps us cover any operating costs that we have and also helps us improve the meetup. Right now, we're hoping to save up for an actual good streaming because, you know, having a $3,500 laptop is always easy to do live streaming with. So that's some of the things that we like to use to improve our meetup. Sweet. What's going on, JS Land? Oh, that's not it.
All right. So what's going on in JavaScript land? For those of you, oh yeah, no, that's right. For those of you that are first timers, I want to go through some of the stuff that we're excited about here. We usually go over the new Chrome dev tools when there is one, but they're every 6 weeks. We meet every month, so sometimes there's an off month. This time, for the last one of the year, is not an off month. It's actually kind of a small release, but the release notes for the details of it and a highlights video that goes through what we're talking through here and more will be posted. All of this stuff, by the way, will be posted to the comments section of today's meetup, so don't feel like you have to write everything down. Matt, to his credit, has been very good about always turning that around and putting it onto there, so you're able to get that there. So let's go through it. Audits, this is kind of cool. In the audits panel now has multi-client support, so basically if you do an audit on your page and then you make some changes to anything while still in the DevTools console, if you then rerun the audit, it'll now show you what your score will be if you make those changes in production. So that's pretty neat. Oh, thanks. I got a little highlighting as I go. Oh, this is cool too. So background services now supports payment handler events. So if you use a background service for an API of like background payment events, you can both check these in real time, and also, I didn't mention this last time, but they're now what they're starting to do for some of these audits that run in the background for service workers and things, they let you actually, when you select the box and trigger it, it will for the next 3 days continue tracking events for you in the background, even if DevTools isn't open. Because sometimes you want to see how does it actually run in real time without the additional lag of having that tool open. So the payment handler will be able to has that option, and some of their other ones as well. So I encourage you to explore that if that's something you're interested in. Another audits panel thing for third-party libraries that you use, you can now see diagnostics on both how much space they're taking up and how much time of your load those third-party libraries are taking. And now they added a new metric for largest contentful paint. This is introduced in the last release in Chrome 77. They define it as the largest content element in the viewport being rendered. So now this new element here, this new thing that they track in the audits panel, you'll get a printout for when that happened. Think like your big hero image or something like that, whatever's the biggest thing that's on your DOM at the time. And then similar in the pattern they've been doing for over a year now at this point, where they've been getting really good about hover highlighting and helping and stuff like that. If you go to the network tab and hover over the largest contentful paint, it'll actually highlight for you in your DOM what that element is that took that amount of time. So really cool little helper there that shows you this is how long this thing took. Oh, and by the way, it's this highlighted DOM element that is the one that was doing that. And they get more into this new metric and what it is and stuff in the actual written release notes. So like I said, not a ton in this release, but that's Chrome 78. In terms of that's what I'm excited about. What are you guys excited about? And this can be anything going on, a broad trend going on in software development, in JavaScript, in frameworks, or it can be something super specific to just you that may have been around for a while, but it's like a high-five moment that you had. Like, hey, I was working on this gnarly bug or trying to figure out this new framework, and I did, right? Or like, we're trying to do some integration. Like I always say, what was that, like CBS or whatever, where they run reruns? Like, if you haven't seen it, it's new to you, right? So that kind of thing, right? Where like, doesn't matter if it's been around for a while, something that like you're excited about. So either of those, what are you guys excited about? Any big things or any high-five moments? Yeah, with that.
I recently combined WordPress with React, the headless WordPress CMS with React on the front end.
Cool.
So a client would have an easier time with that and get out with that.
Awesome. When you did that, did you have any specific tools or libraries that you used that like made that easier for you that you recommend for other people trying to do the same thing?
Axios.
Cool. Sweet. And then also for these things too, when we post these, for any of you guys that are contributing, if you want to put supplemental material, that's cool. If not, again, something that Matt's always been really good about is like he'll also put links to these things if there's relevant articles or libraries or whatever. So it really makes it easier for you guys.
It just depends how vague you are.
Right.
Usually I'm pretty good at finding.
Exactly. So if you say like like backend, and serving up React and using Axios, then Matt can find like an Axios link. You're just like, I used React and it was great. Like I guess you could send you the React docs. So what else? Yeah. Ooh, 2 at a time.
Buddy Becky got a job.
Hey! Congrats, man. Was that also what you're excited about? Is that what
No,
you're
I was going to say Postman. I spent some time learning like harder parts about Postman. So I got into the collections, auto-running the collections, and then using it to hit our API, pull the key out of it, save the key, and then run the rest of it, and then put tests into it. So like,
Yeah.
I just can like start up my service, and be like, did I break anything?
Yeah.
And just sit there and watch it work.
Awesome tool. For those in the audience, so who here does not know what Postman is or what it does? Okay, so for the people that don't know, we give like a 30 seconds. What is Postman and why is it good?
It's like a over the top of your like HTTP requests, and you can just hit your API, and so like you can just automate HTTP requests and give different headers and different body objects, and then you can see what you get back. So it's like just the only way to do it yet.
Yeah, super cool, and it's a nice, really easy to use interface, and you can like have like different requests saved and stuff with all the different headers and everything already there. So it's really, really neat. Cool, man, and congrats on getting the job.
Thank you.
What else? What else are you excited about? Yeah.
So a bunch of us here are students from Turing School of Software Design.
Very cool.
So we're still kind of getting into some of this stuff.
Sure.
Some of us are just starting React.
Mhm.
But one thing that was a high five for me, this platform Scrimba, I don't know if anybody has heard of it, it's a screencast app where you're watching someone teach you how to build React, but at any moment you can pause it and interact with the code they had just been writing.
Oh wow.
It's really cool. It made learning React.
That's super cool. How do you spell that?
SCRINBA.
did you know?
They've got stuff for Egwuenu. Yeah,
I can't spell real words.
Yeah.
I can make.
But you guys
The
spell
fake ones. Matt kills them the fake ones. We normally like having a back and forth with the audience and trying to like work through how to spell these things. But yeah,
It was really cool.
that sounds super interesting. Yeah.
I just want to add on to that. Scrimba is only front end, but it does have a whole bunch of lessons, but it is only front end.
So easy way to learn the framework.
Sweet.
I
Awesome.
was like, how's it differ from like VS Code's pair programming?
But these are like lessons that are like already posted.
Oh, okay.
Unless you can record them and do it with VS Code. This is like imagine like
it's time sync teletyping.
Yeah,
Okay.
essentially.
cool. What else? Yeah.
I have two. One's Miro. It's like a digital whiteboarding, screen sharing software. It's really awesome. Just if you ever whiteboard in person, you can just do it digitally now.
Oh,
Fantastic
sweet.
piece of software.
So you can digitally do whiteboard interviews
Yeah,
now.
and
Yeah.
it shows you can draw. It shows where the person's cursor is. It has screen like video and microphone, so it's really easy to use.
Sweet.
The other thing is Athena started using to query S3 data, and you can write SQL queries, but parse JSON
Okay.
really easily.
Nice.
Parse a JSON field and select some things. That was Athena. First one was Miro. You got it.
How many R's? One or two?
One.
One. And then the other one's Athena. Sweet.
For parsing JSON from SQL query.
Everyone's watching.
The whole room goes quiet, just and all you can hear is just like the click clacks of your typing, like nervous backspace.
I don't have my mechanical keyboard, damn it.
Yeah, what's up?
So I've been writing a lot of tests with React testing.
Okay.
Last month, and it's awesome.
Yeah?
It's super, super good.
What's your favorite part about it?
So it uses a lot of things for certain tests that enforce accessibility. So stuff like having correct labels on inputs.
Oh, cool.
The correct rules on inputs.
So it like yells at you if you don't have those things and you're testing them?
It basically makes it impossible to write tests around.
Oh, cool.
Because
And if you do it with TypeScript, everything fails.
it's good.
Good luck.
Yeah, AJB, if you ever have been tired of getting inconsistent results from your backend, you can validate it with this library, AJB.
Okay.
And just do it, handle the response immediately as opposed to like waiting for something to fail randomly because it's a string instead of a number.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's awesome.
Is it sort of like a middleware like validation almost, where you're passing it through instead of like
You can
Test
make
it.
it middleware, you kind of run it how you want it. You basically just call like validate schema function,
Right.
pass in
what your schema should look like?
what schema should look like and what the actual payload is.
Cool. Sweet.
It's really sweet.
Awesome. Yeah.
So I had no idea this existed for as long as I've been writing JavaScript, but console.table.
Oh yeah. So
Absolutely amazing.
so tell us about console.table.
It's basically a console log, except it'll log your objects. It'll actually look like a table with columns. And if you just need like a quick glance at, you don't want to like click through a nested object or something. You just want a quick glance of like a JSON payload or something. It makes it super nice.
Nice.
And you feel like a wizard doing it. So.
Very cool. Yeah.
Anybody that's prepping for interviews,
Mhm.
Pramp.com, they do data structures, algorithms.
Pramp?
Pramp, P-R-A-M-P.com.
Okay.
They do data structures and algorithms, front development, and also mobile development too.
Sweet.
They do mock live interviews.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's free.
Sweet.
Speaking of Pramp, did my first mock interview today. Went pretty well.
Yeah? You didn't get mock rejected? Because I did.
I might.
Yeah. Awesome.
What I was originally going to say before that is back on my last project that I wrote in React, it was a like match together coding app.
Mhm.
I realized the importance of testing your code, so now I'm testing the project that I'm getting ready to write or currently writing, which is also React with Cypress.
Okay, yeah, cool.
And, I can't tell you a whole lot about it.
Okay.
I'm getting into it.
You tell us in January.
That's right.
For those of you that don't know, we'll mention this again. We don't ever do meetups in December because the last Tuesday of the month is right before Christmas. So it's around that time usually.
That's why we moved today to this week instead of Turkey week.
Yeah. I'm excited that you guys showed up. We got a really good turnout for an off week Monday. So cheers to yourself. Thanks for coming out, guys. Did you have anything, Kyle?
Yeah, you're also up against you and Look at Code and lots of other things.
Today?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. Fantastic.
I'm Kyle.
Hi, Kyle.
I used to be Barkmeier School of Software. But we're going into fun projects right now, and like not only we're a React Rails program, but we're always encouraging people to stretch out and try new technologies. And thanks to some of the people in the audience, I got 10 of them to stretch into Vue, which makes me feel like I'm putting some good in the world. So.
Nice. Very cool.
Are you though?
Yeah.
Oh.
One thing that I'm excited about, I haven't checked it out yet, but I think it was just last week or the week before, was Chrome's developer summit, where it was just, they just went over like all the new like things coming out in DevTools, all the new stuff coming out in Chrome and stuff like that. If you couldn't attend live, they live streamed it and then also made the whole stream available for free. So if you guys are interested in some of the trends, like where the Chrome browser and its like underlying tools are going, then you can do that. All right.
Sorry, Sarah, I know.
I heard it's going to be huge.
Cool. Let's do one more. Fantastic.
Cool. I'll do these if I can for check out. Number one, I'm going to jump on the finally got the job training.
Hey. You know what? I really like that you guys called that out. Let's do that every month. I want to whenever people finally land a job, just come here and we'll give you a round of applause. Because fuck yeah, man. What a grueling experience that is. So yeah.
Ages of searching, my first job was actually developer, so that's great.
Hell yeah. Yeah,
Counts 3.7 introduced knowledge coalescing operators and optional chaining.
Okay.
Doing that before job was pretty cool.
Cool.
Usually they don't do that.
Yeah, sweet. Optional chaining is going to be really cool.
Well, optional chaining is also in like the next ECMA.
Is it officially in?
They work together with TypeScript.
Is it officially in?
I don't know that, but like some changes.
So it's just so fucking close. It's right there. Yeah, awesome. Can't wait for that.
One more thing if I may. As long as we're talking about Vue, if you like Vue, Svelte is also awesome. Reads like Vue, but simple.
And if you like Svelte, you should have come last month when Courtney didn't talk on that. But all joking aside, if you're interested in Svelte, we do the best we can with like a laptop pointed at the screen, right? We don't necessarily have a good picture yet. But Courtney Fay did a really good talk on Svelte last month, a very good introductory talk to it. So if it's something you're interested in or you've never heard of it and you're just curious, you can check that out. Cool. Well,
I think it's how you spell it.
Yeah, that's great.
It's definitely not.
Definitely that.
Read that out. Smoot.
It's the first L is silent. There you go. Great. Hey,
I can Google later.
For our last meetup of the year, this is one of the most different amount of people too that participated in our What's Going On. So thanks for coming out. Thanks for participating. And yeah.
Oh, back to me. Awesome. Job announcements. If you have a job that you would like to announce, please come up to the front of the room and announce your job. First contestants, come on down.
Oh, and while he's walking up there, for anybody that announces jobs, after the meetup, please post the description and listing to your job in the comments section of tonight's meetup, so people can follow up with you after.
So I start this Wednesday at 60 Hertz, which is making an app to help microgrids maintenance. So like tiny little villages of a few hundred people, or some guy part-time runs a diesel generator and is not an expert at that kind of thing. I'm the first developer and fourth employee. We are still looking for more developers. We need to get it out quickly. We are looking for juniors specifically. Ideally, if you just graduated from boot camp, you're looking for your first job, perfect. So yeah, shoot me an email, or I'm on every possible Slack, Martin Rosenberg, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
You're going to be popular.
When do you ever hear? We encourage recent graduates. Yeah, cool.
Hey, I'm Sam. I'm from Stackhawk. We are a cybersecurity company based out of here in Denver. We are building a dynamic application security scanner for developers. So something that developers can use, run alongside their application in development, and gain actionable insights and become fearless in the face of the technical unknown. We are looking for a full stack engineers as well as a senior product designer. So if you think you have the chops to come help us, we are a small team of about 8 people and growing, not rapidly, but growing. So yeah, and I have stickers as well.
Anyone else have a job to announce?
Bigger one.
Yeah, come on.
I got the small one.
I work at a company called Complex. It's based out of Reston, Virginia, but we have about 6 people, and we work on Plaid for Denver right now. There's a lot of reverb in this mic, and I wasn't expecting this is like karaoke all of a sudden. But we're looking for all kinds of different developers. We're basically Scala right now, but we have a lot of front-end developers that just came from Turing who don't understand Scala. And so Complex, it's I know in a world of simplicity, everybody's always thinks that like Complex is like what a weird company name, but honestly, our motto is we're embracing complexity. We have cybersecurity, we have insurance, we have finance. So we're growing at a pretty rapid pace, and if you're interested in something like that, check out Complex. QOMPLX.
Well, to give anyone else a chance that wants to announce a job, GoSpotCheck is still hiring. We unfortunately / fortunately filled our front-end position. Thanks, Phil. We hired Phil. And I believe we just filled our back-end position. But we also have a full-stack position, and we're entertaining full-stack front-end or full-stack back-end, because you know there's a difference. Oh, there's a difference.
Aren't you glad Kyle's here?
Sometimes. Kyle just stand in the back, like Johnny Cash. Awesome. I do not need this.
That reverb is pretty nice.
Okay. Also, call for speakers. Anyone can speak at this. It's great. It's fun. It's awesome. So, if you want to give a talk about anything, just hit me, Guillermo. Mike's not here, but any 3 of us, you're on Denver Devs, Twitter, the Meetup account, Slack on the Denver Devs channel. I don't know, email, I don't know, get my cell phone on. If you want to talk to one of us about giving a talk, like hit up Guillermo or I here at the Meetup or offline, online, whichever one. Yeah, so we're always looking for speakers. Seeing we're skipping December, We're still accepting speakers for January, so hit us up. And that is the last slide. Even though, Kirsten, you were totally right, and I said on the meetup account that you were going to go last, but I told you were going first, you're still going first.
This is just another thing to add to my important talk.
Not communicating well with your Scrum Master?
While Kirsten gets set up, if you guys want to do refills on beer or get another slice of pizza, use the restroom, now would be a great time to do it. Please feel free.
Okay. HDMI 1.
Matt.
Hey, Morgan's on there.
Oh, fuck yeah.
It's your net or something.
Yeah, that is me. Where'd you get that? That's what she said. Sticker. I want one. Where?
Three.
Where?
That's big. Oh, fuck. So for Valentine's Day, I took Sandler as a Valentine's Day. She's an office mom, and I kidnapped her and told her not to know where we were going. So we went to her Graceland. Your team does angular.
Cool. This is Rico, former school life from way back in the day. Been around the block and beautiful person. And I was like, I started this.
I just think it's fun and challenging. Like, are you
All right. Anyone didn't see the old-fashioned, turn the lights on off yet? I'll just yell. It's actually my job.
I think when I put it in no response, apparently got left Peter's hand. Nobody knows how that
Oh, that's what my teacher always did.
Hey, can you guys quiet it down? I'm trying to get the top.
Oh, hey. Woo! Kirsten Barkmeier.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kirsten Barkmeier. I am a Scrum Master at Cognizant Accelerator, and I am here to talk to you about things that your Scrum Master wants you to know. And keeping with this myriad project management theme that companies have going on,
Nailed it. You already got a card done.
presentation for us. So we're just going to dive in because I don't have a lot of time. The first thing your Scrum Master / me wants you to know is that the PM tool, whether it be Jira, Trello, Pivotal Tracker, a sticky note whiteboard, a napkin that you've scribbled on, whatever you're using, is what keeps me from bothering you. My job is to report to the stakeholders, and my job is to make sure that the team is not overcommitted. So if Jira is up to date and I have an idea of where you're at, I don't have to come and ask you like, hey, the sprint started a week and a half ago. Have you started this ticket that's assigned to you? Or like what's happening there? This also helps to set expectations across the team. So if something's happening where it's looking like we're not going to be able to finish everything and then we don't have time allotted, or if we're moving really, really fast and getting so much stuff done, I can then communicate up to the stakeholders and say like, hey, in demo, this feature isn't going to be able to come through, and then nobody's mad on Thursday morning or whatever day it is. Or I can say, hey, the team has gotten so much stuff done. We're picking up extra stuff in the backlog, and then you guys get a pizza party. I'm like, how fun is that? So I know it's tedious. I know it's not fun for you, but I promise it's even worse to get slacked by me all the time asking what the heck you're doing.
It's true.
Matt knows. So this is a Fibonacci sequence. I was limited on my stock photos. Arguing about points misses the point. Estimations are just that. So there's not really a difference between an 8 and a 13. The point is that it's really pretty large, and maybe we should break it down a little bit. Also, nothing is exact. A 5 might not get done in the same amount of time every single time. It really just, the point is to help the team understand if we still need to continue scoping work out, or if we have our heads wrapped around it, and how much time we might need to research things. So don't overthink it, don't argue about it. If it's an 8 or a 13, it really just means like, let's break it down into approximately 1 million more stories. See, I'm not keeping my project management tool up to date as we speak, and now you'll have to wait on me. Isn't that annoying? Next, velocity is just an indicator. As Agile becomes more prominent across organizations, you may have some things come up like points per developer and things like that, and just that's not the point. You cannot compare velocity across teams. Everything's estimated in a bubble, everything's completed in a bubble. If the team is getting 50 points done and your team is getting 35 points done, it doesn't say anything about the two specific teams other than maybe they estimate things differently. The point of velocity is to track how the team is doing from the current sprint to the previous sprint. And even then, it's not necessarily measure how many things you're getting done, because you may have 18 one-point stories, or you may have 3 three-point stories. It doesn't really tell you too much about that. It's really a measurement and not a metric. But really the thing that your team and the Scrum Master is looking for is if velocity goes down, and then even then, it's not just, oh no, velocity went down. We're really looking at like, okay, well, who was on PTO? What happened during this? Did we really overcommit? Did we just really not look at the scope of this thing? Or did the whole building burn down and nobody took their laptops? So, it happens sometimes. Stand-up is not a status report, and this gets maybe a little nitty-gritty, but it's really not about, stand-up is not about the individuals, it's about the work. So like, I know in my stand-up, I sometimes report funny things like, listened to Millennium and cried all morning, and like, that's my blocker also. That's not really the point. The point is for the team to get together and to understand where the work is at, and to understand if somebody needs help with pairing, if somebody's feeling like they're stuck in the weeds, or if we're backed up on something and we need to maybe reprioritize what we're working on for the week. So it's more about communicating and less about reciting, this is what I did yesterday, this is what I'm doing today, and no blockers. That doesn't help anybody. So make sure you're listening to your teammates, make sure that you are listening especially for keywords of how you can be helpful, and that's mostly my job there, is to also listen for ways that I can be helpful. And that's a stand-up paddleboard, get it? Let me be the wind beneath your wings. So really, the role of the Scrum Master is mostly to protect the team and to remove blockers. I'm the person standing in between you and sales and the product manager and all those chatty people who like to sneak around and say like, hey, Upslope said they'd really buy our product if we just slip in this quick CRM feature really quick. So let me be the person that stands in the way. If you have somebody that's talking to you and pushing you to do something that doesn't seem like that's something that they should be doing, let your Scrum Master know, and then they'll go kindly tell that person to go away. Kind of a cool thing about being a Scrum Master is we're in this weird unranked world. So I might be able to walk into the vice president of product's office and say, hey, you really got to stop railing on the team, and here's why, versus them going up to a junior developer and trying to work something in that shouldn't be in the sprint. It's also my job to remove blockers. So if something's stopping you, if somebody's getting in your way, if you are too afraid to ask the office manager to order the types of oatmeal cookies that you like that's what I'm here for. My job is inevitably to make my own job go away. I tried to find, I have a story about every stock photo, but I tried to find one for coaching, and this rugby one popped up, and I love rugby, so we just went with it. So my job is to make my job go away. Ultimately, the Scrum Master is sort of an agile coach. It's the job to get you into good practices, to help the team communicate better, and to work effectively and negotiate in a way that really, if I'm sitting back all day with nothing to do, then like my job is done and everybody's happy. Well, supposedly. But everybody's in a good working rhythm, and then I can go then and help other teams. So inevitably, we want to make ourselves go away, but there's always going to be another team popping up somewhere that needs help. So we're actually not going anywhere. Sorry. Don't be afraid to make noise. It can be really intimidating sometimes to speak up if something isn't working, if you really don't like something, or if just something doesn't seem to be working, and if the process is broken. And that's really what I need to hear from you. It's okay to have things like retros on retros. You're finding that the way that the team is doing retro, for example, isn't helpful. You have absolutely every right to go and just say, you know what, I don't think this works, and I think that we should try something else. The whole point of Agile is to iterate and experiment, and something that worked 4 sprints ago just might not be working for the team anymore. And like, again, just so many, we just love retros. We love doing them. But really, those types of things are the things that we're attuned to and are listening for. And if you're not saying anything, we're going to try to drag it out. It's going to be really awkward and painful, and you're going to feel put on the spot. So just like, come say something anyway. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. If you want to get in touch with me, you can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me as General Kenner on DenverScrip. I meant to change my screen name before I gave this talk. But my real name's in there too, so if you search Kirsten, you'll find me. I think we have a second, if anybody has questions, comments, concerns, compliments.
All the seconds.
Like retros. You guys want to do one real quick? Yeah.
What difference between Scrum Master and the project?
You know, that's interesting because I'm a certified Scrum Master, but my job title is an Agile Project Manager. So I think a lot of it depends on the organization. If we're talking like strictly Scrum and Agile versus any sort of other organization, a project manager is really more concerned with making sure things are coming in under budget and works a lot with resources and estimating and risks assessment, versus just a pure Scrum Master just works as a buffer for the team and reporting up and down the chain to stakeholders and to the rest of the team. Irma.
So you're saying about for standout, for how it's more than just what did you do, what are you going to do, and are you blocked on stuff, right?
Yeah.
So for that, are you saying like so that an individual's delivery should still be that, but that you should actually be listening to what everybody else is saying? Is that what you're getting at?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Not horrible.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm done. So.
Yeah. but I mean, that's a great point, and I think that's something that a lot of people do. Like, it's really easy in those types of meetings to become disengaged, especially when it feels repetitive. So if that stand-up isn't working for you, you should have a retro about it.
No, that's a good point.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you talk to me about your relationship with your product owner?
I can. He's actually in the room, which is really awesome.
Oh,
This
hey.
is Anthony. He's my product owner.
Anthony earmuffs.
So I'm really lucky, and I'm not just saying this because he's in the room. I wouldn't bullshit him. I'm lucky because I have a really awesome product owner, and we're really, really collaborative. So it's easy for us to sit down and have a discussion and have really frank discussions about this will work, this won't work. and like this will fit, this won't, and really how do you want to divide this up? He also had the role that I'm in now before I had it, so I think I'm really lucky that he's a bit more empathetic and is really good about talking to me before he talks to the team. There's some other product owners I've worked with that have really tried to skirt around, and that's where I found out that I got this nickname that I hadn't known. I had an organization before this morning called the Velvet Hammer. So I can be firm when I need to be.
It's pretty epic.
I think it's you and then you.
Hopefully this makes a question. What's a retro?
Oh, that's a great question. Retro is a retrospective, and that's a time for the team to get together. And teams will format it in different ways. There's so many different ways that you can do it, but it's basically a time to reflect on a fixed period of time and talk about what's going well, what needs to change, pain points, and things like that. And the whole point is that everybody in the room is equal, so there's no rank. And it's more to talk about the process and try to fix things and iterate and experiment.
How did you become a Scrum Master?
I had a long, strange journey to become a Scrum Master. I was a project manager early on in my career. I worked in telecom. And then I really wanted to move into startups, and I got lucky, and I found a really small startup that was looking for an office manager / UX designer. That's actually where I met Matt.
Okay.
And I did that, and then unfortunately that company went under, and I was able to take a lot of time to think about some skills that I had honed, and I love checklists. I love telling people what to do. I love listening to people, and I love tech. And I'd done a lot of that in experience outside of software. I was president of my rugby team. I loved helping my friends organize and things like that. And I got a grant to become a certified Scrum Master. I've met some really great people at Cognizant, where I work now, that were able to help me through the process. So a lot of dumb luck and a lot of networking. Yeah.
Do you feel like it's important for Scrum Masters to at least have like a working understanding of how code works? Or do you think that's not a necessity?
I don't have a working understanding of how code works, really, so I don't think it's a necessity. I do think it's a necessity to be a good listener and to want to learn about things like that. And and just not being afraid to ask questions. Like, I have conversations with my engineering manager all the time where he'll just say like, oh, this won't work. And I'm like, okay, I need you to break this down for me like I'm 5 years old about why this won't work. And that's really helpful.
I guess elaborate on that. What do you find important in terms of people communicating with you, especially with particularly technical problems? How do you bridge that communication gap?
I just ask them to break it down for me. I ask a lot of questions. I also have a pretty good understanding of design, so I kind of bridge the gap through there. And I sometimes will just ask them to sit down with me and just show me functionally in the application what they're talking about and what's not working. And most of the time, and I think the biggest way that I bridge the gap is I really trust everybody that I work with, and I built up a relationship with them where if they tell me that something's wrong, or if they tell me that something is this like huge gargantuan thing and it needs to be done, then I know them well enough to know that they're not just bullshitting me so that they can eat popcorn or do whatever while they're working. Yeah, I think we can do one more.
Sorry, I can't.
Yeah, there is.
Your stand-ups and retros ever get like so mad? Like, do you ever have a really intense situation?
No, not really. Honestly, it's pretty boring. Well, not boring. But I mean, like, people are pretty measured where I work, which is great. I've worked at places before where that hasn't been the case. And I think that when they get dramatic like that, it's really just a sign of an unhealthy team and an unhealthy workplace. Well, I think that's probably time.
Thank you.
Cool.
Matt thought using the Trello board as your presentation medium of choice.
I thought that would be extra geeky.
There's still beer and pizza. We'll have our next meeting. Is there is it really hot? Or is it just a little warm? We haven't opened that a little bit. Feel free while our next speaker gets set up to get another round of beer or pizza.
Yeah. We've had it over for like a month. Still at full stack. About full stack. Let's talk about this. They're more iron. All right. Who wants to learn how to debug like a boss? Please, everyone, welcome gift.
Hi everyone, I'm really excited to be here giving this talk. So my name is Gift Egwuenu, software developer at a company called Andela, and it's based in Lagos, Nigeria. So today's topic, or today we're going to be looking at how you can actually debug like a boss, a developer's guide to great developing experience. So first of all, I want to get like the audience feeling on this. Imagine a world exists where you code without actually having any errors or coming across any bug. How would you feel? Yeah. It's literally like a fairy tale. It's not possible, right? As developers, when you're writing code, you definitely come across a bug or an error. And finding out effective ways to actually debug your code is really great, and it will save you lots of time. So in this talk, I'm going to be looking at different ways on how you can actually debug your code. So I'm sure everyone is wondering, isn't console.log like the default method for debugging? So what is she actually going to talk about here? That is true, console.log works, but there are other efficient ways you can actually debug your applications in JavaScript. So how many of us in the room actually use other methods apart from console.log? That's great.
Console.table.
Yeah, so I was sitting down when you mentioned that, and so I'm going to be sharing that as well. So yeah, I'm going to share different ways on how you can actually debug your code. But before we do that, I want to share with you procedures for debugging. This works for me. I'm sure everybody here has the procedures that they use when they are debugging, but these 4 steps actually works. And if you're trying to debug if you're trying to fix a bug or you're trying to fix an error in your code base, the first step you want to do is to first of all identify the bug, right? So you're trying to fix a bug. What you do is look through your code base to make sure that you know where the bug is actually originating from, and then the next step will be for you to try and reproduce the bug. So in some cases, this is like a scenario I want to explain. In some cases, you're asked to actually fix a bug, or you pick up a story from the pivotal tracker and it's a bug fix, right? But you don't have context for that bug. What you need to do is to try to reproduce that bug, right? So the next step after reproducing the bug would be for you to definitely find a possible fix for that bug. And lastly, you would have to test your solution after fixing it. A lot of developers don't like writing tests, right? And I feel like it's a great way for you to be sure of the code you write, writing tests. So after fixing a bug, I would advise, if you don't already have a test in place, you should try to write a test for your code base and also document your solution. So one thing that I noticed is, as a developer, you encounter the same bug, the same errors over and over again. And if you have you encounter an error say 2 months ago and you fix it, it takes you a long time to actually fix it, and you don't document it, or you don't have a notepad or something where you write down, okay, how did I actually fix this bug? And you find out that in the next 2 months you're also battling the same bug. You have to go through the entire process of identifying. So one thing I'll advise is, as you're trying to fix your bug, you should also try to document it. So something you can actually do is, you have notepad on your laptop. You can save the procedures for that on your notepad, or there are several other ways. You can also write a blog post on how you fix that bug. Something I encountered recently is, I faced a bug and I wrote a blog post on how I fixed it, and I noticed that next time I actually encountered that bug, it was easy for me to go back to the blog post I wrote to help me remember how I fixed it. So those are helpful ways for you to try to debug faster. So now that I've explained ways or procedures for you to debug your code, I want to now dive deep into how you can actually debug. So there are 3 steps, 3 methods that I'll be talking about today. The first one is how you can use console statements. The second one is how you can use browser developer tools, and then last we're looking at how you can use your IDE for debugging. So console statements, I'm sure everybody here already knows about console.log, right? That is the de facto for debugging, but I'm here to tell you that there are other exciting ways you can actually debug that are not really popular. The first one is console.table. Yeah, so console.table is really popular here, and I'm happy about that. But before now, I'm sure most of you have not heard about it. So one thing I really like about console.table is, it's similar to console.log, but the representation of the data is actually really great. As you can see, I'm trying to log the names that I'm getting from that object, but you can see the way it's represented. If you have like an array, a nested array, and you do console.log, you have to like literally click through to see like the data. But if you use console.table for debugging, it gives you this very nice presentation that you can actually just look through and find, if you're trying to find a specific data, and find your data easily. And then the next one is something that I'm really happy about, that I found out about. It's called console.time and console.timeend. They both work hand in hand. So if you're trying to find like performance, you're trying to work on performance budget on your app, and you want to know how fast a particular block of code runs, you can easily use this. So how it works is you put the code block you're trying to test in between both console.time and console.log, and once you run it, you get like the actual time it takes to execute that block of code. So here I'm trying to find out how long it takes to execute that line of code, and you can see it took 11 milliseconds. So if you're debugging and you want to know how fast does this work, or why is my app running really slow, you can easily use this method. And then moving on, the second method I'll be talking about is how you can actually use your browser developer tools. So this is also very popular, but a lot of people don't actually use it don't practice it, right? So every browser you have has like a panel for debugging. So I'll be using Chrome DevTools here because that's the browser I use most of the time. So with browser developer tools, you can actually use 3 different methods for debugging. That is great. I'll be sharing debugger, breakpoint, and black boxing. So the first one being the debugger. If you're using Chrome, how many of us use Chrome here? Firefox? Brave? Nice. Okay. Yeah, so if you're using Chrome, once you open your developer console, you see like the sources panel. On the sources panel, it's easy for you to debug your app as opposed to using console.log. Let me show you how. So in the sources panel, you have 3 different parts when you open it. You have the code editor, which is on this side. You have the code editor, you have the file structure, which is all the files you have within your code base, and then beneath it you have like the debugger panel. So one thing that is really cool is when you're using a debugger to debug your code, it's just adding the debugger statement. You can have the debugger step through each line, of your code base. So yeah, I'm trying to actually find the I'm trying to get the data from set active image, right? And what I did was I added line 51 as a breakpoint. I'm going to explain breakpoint very soon. And as you can see, I don't need to add any console.log. All I need to do is just, after adding that breakpoint, I run the debugger and I get the results close to the scope. I get the results of that data. And another cool thing that I really like about this is by just running the debugger, you can literally just click on any method in your code base and there is a hover that pops up and it shows you like the results of that method. So normally if you're using console.log and you're trying to debug your app, you literally have like 5 or 6 console.log statements in your app. But with the debugger, you literally don't need to do that. You can just add the debugger statement like I said earlier, and by just setting different breakpoints on where you want to debug, you get like the responses for that data. So moving on, another great thing that I like is breakpoints, which is a breakpoint is set wherever you need to pause the debugger. So in my code base, say I'm trying to like debug, I'm trying to find an error in a specific file. Instead of writing console.log like I said earlier, I just need to add several breakpoints. And with Chrome, all you just need to do is click on the line number, and automatically that is set as a breakpoint for you. And once you run your code base and it hits that line number, it automatically pauses for you to debug. Then another method is called black boxing. So something I recently discovered was while I was trying to debug using this, I noticed that I was stepping into some code that I literally did not write. So these are like your library code. So for instance, if you're using React and you're trying to debug using the debugger, you will notice that there are some codes that you find out that you're stepping into that is not actually written by you. So one thing that I really like is called the black box. What it basically does is it ignores it ignores the internal libraries. What you do is when you're trying to debug, you just need to right click on a specific file that is not related to your code. So you see it from the core stack. Once you right click on it, you see like a button that says black box this script. And once you click on that script, automatically when you're running your debugger, it ignores any file that does not relate to the actual code you wrote. So this works for if you have like external libraries in your code, like Axios or whatever library you're using. In order for you to prevent, in order for you not to step through those codes, you have to like black box. Click on the link to black box it. And then the next method is actually using your IDE. So your IDE can range from VS Code to WebStorm to Atom. So if you're using any of these, personally I use VS Code, there is like an extension, there is an inbuilt debugger for every IDE, right? But the great thing also is if you want to use the inbuilt debugger, they have like several extensions that you could install. So for Chrome, you have the debugger from Chrome extension, which I use. I use VS Code, and once you install this extension, the great thing is you actually debug everything, the entire app within VS Code. So you necessarily don't need to do anything in your browser. It basically works the same way the debugger on Chrome works, because this is like you have Chrome extension, you have the Chrome extension in VS Code, so everything works the same way. So the same way you have to add a debugger statement. When you're trying to debug a particular line, you add the debugger statement within VS Code. It also has breakpoints, which I explained earlier. And the same way it works, you just click on the specific line you're trying to add a breakpoint to, and then you click the play button here, which helps you like debug the entire code. So this also works with Firefox. There is also like a Firefox extension that you could use with VS Code. Everything works exactly the same way. So to round up my presentation, what I explained throughout this talk was how you can actually debug with several other methods. I explained debugging procedures you could use, and also explained several methods you could use for debugging, which are console statements, developer tools, and also you can also use the IDE. Thank you.
You want any questions?
Yeah. You don't have to.
No.
You can say, I want no questions.
Take as many as you want and it's done.
Does anyone have any question?
I was curious, with the black boxing, do you need to hit a breakpoint where you're there, or can you like set something in your file to just ignore the files altogether?
So with that, sorry, can you
You like, so you're saying black boxing is you're able to like not have to debug through like library code and stuff. Do you have to have a breakpoint and then you run into it and right click it like you said, or is there some other way set it up so that that stuff's black.
Okay, you can do it in two ways. You can either go through. So there is a part in Chrome that says code stack. You can either go through that and ignore all the external libraries because you see it there. So you can just black box all the external libraries, or while you are working through your code, you have to like go back and black box each of them. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Gav. Thank you, Kirsten, for speaking tonight. We still have beer. We still have some probably cold pizza. There's a microwave though.
I don't know if anyone's ever tried that before. Everybody eats it cold. You wonder like what's that next step? Yeah.
This group. So feel free to hang out, nerd out, drink, eat responsibly.
Eat responsibly.
Yes.
I love it.
Otherwise, thank you everyone for coming out tonight. And again, reminder, December, we skipped December, but we're all going to participate in the Develop Happy Hour holiday party.
December 10th.
December 10th. Woo! Woo!
See you there. Thanks, guys. Cheers.